Welcome to Ethical Hacking for Beginners, Man-in-the-Middle attack. In this video, we're going to take a look at what is a man-in-the-middle attack and how to run a man-in-the-middle attack. So what is the man-in-the-middle attack? In this version, we're going to be using something called ARP poisoning. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. This is the protocol that matches MAC addresses with IP addresses, or physical addresses with network addresses. So for instance, a computer might say, who has IP address 1.1.1.1? And your router will answer back, hey, MAC address or physical address, this has 1.1.1.1. Why don't you send your message there? So when we do ARP poisoning, essentially we're telling the devices that we are a different device and allowing that traffic to flow through us like an imposter. So man in the middle, we become a middleman passing off the packets, but also looking at them before we pass them off. Essentially like monkey in the middle, except the monkey gets the ball first before it goes to the other side. So first, how to run a man in the middle attack, we're going to want to make sure our forwarding bit is turned on, and then we're going to open up our ettercap configuration file. We're going to set these two variables to 0. We're going to uncomment IP table commands, and finally we're going to run ettercap. So let's go ahead and open up a terminal here. And you can see I already have a file here called IP forward. There you go. So I'm just going to run this script. Turn on forwarding. There you go. So if I cat proc sys net IPv4 IP forward, you'll see the value there is 1. Okay, so we are forwarding packets. Essentially, this is telling the system, hey, if I get packets that aren't for me, why don't you send them on? Okay, so now let's type a gedit and our etc ettercap and etter.conf. Okay, here we go. So we set these variables to 0, which they already are. Excellent. Then we're going to want to uncomment out the section on IP tables because that's what we are using. So here it is. If you use IP tables, which is right here, you want to delete the pound sign, which we already have. Okay, we have done. Good deal. We'd save. And now it's time to run ettercap. Oops. Ettercap G for GUI. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to want to sniff unified sniffing. We pick our proper interface that we're going to sniff on. In this case, we're going to sniff on the Ethernet. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and scan for hosts. Okay. Down here it says we have 4 hosts added. So let's take a look at our hosts. We can see our Metasploitable 2 is on here. Our virtual router is on here. Okay, now here's where we could have a target 1 and a target 2 if we wanted to look for a specific machine. But we're just going to sniff everything. So we're going to go to man in the middle, ARP poisoning, sniff remote connections. Okay, start sniffing. You can see we're already started sniffing. Okay, and now we're seeing some activity down here. We can also view our connections here. Okay, and now we're capturing traffic in between. So now, if I go to my Windows machine here, buddy, there we go. Putty, and I'm going to pick Telenet, and I'm going to pick our 192.168.111.128. Opens up. There it is. Okay. So we're going to type in our MFS admin. And you'll see here, this is from the Windows computer that we just captured those credentials right down here. So ettercap was the man in the middle, and it said, hey, I just captured a packet in clear text that says username mfsadmin, password mfsadmin. And now we have the creds for Metasploitable 2. Let's see what happens if we go to a web page on Metasploitable 2. 111.128. Here we go. PHP myadmin. Okay, let's type in a username there. Let's say user password. Let's say, just for fun. Okay. Let's see if we pick anything up there. Not seeing it there. mfsadmin. msfadmin. See that? That didn't load either. But we could also get clear text username and password from things on port 80 from the web server as well. So this is why it's important to use encryption between your devices, because in order for us to be the man in the middle with encryption, we'd need the encryption key as well. So that's one way to avoid a man in the middle attack, is to use encryption. Another way is to use MAC filtering, and you want to filter out MAC addresses. That makes it a little bit harder. I mean, we can spoof MAC addresses to match whatever your router is, but it would make it a little bit harder to pull off a man-in-the-middle attack. But this attack can be used on wireless gateways as well. So that could be quite dangerous if you're out at, say, a coffee shop or something like that. So you always want to make sure, if you're putting in password information, that you're using encryption or HTTPS, you know. Alright, so let's go ahead and stop our attack. Okay. You can also see these connections listed here. Here's port 80. View details. We can see all the connections listed there. And look, here's our session. If we double click on that, I can actually see what got sent and received here. So this is interesting, right? So I can see that password that I put in, right? It's in here. So that's very interesting. PHP admin. Here it is, password, username, user, right there. So there you go. If we just double click on it in connections, we can see what I typed in because we were in the middle. So once again, if this was HTTPS, we wouldn't be able to read that. In our next video, we're going to be taking a look at the social engineering toolkit.